I'm Lucas, 20, and I've been dating my boyfriend Daniel, 26, for the past 9 months. Our relationship has been great. We share a lot of common interests, but one of our favorite things to do together is gaming. Ever since we started dating, playing online has been our way to bond, relax, and have fun. It's something we both look forward to after long days. My older brother, Felipe, and his girlfriend, Camila, also play, so naturally, we started gaming together as a group. It seemed like a perfect setup. Me, my boyfriend, my brother, and his girlfriend, all playing together, having fun. At first, I was happy about it. It felt like a great way to stay connected with my brother and introduce Daniel into my family dynamic. But soon enough, I started noticing something that made me uncomfortable. Camila acted differently whenever Daniel was around. It wasn't something obvious at first, just small things. Laughing a little too much at his jokes, trying to get his attention in ways that felt a bit forced. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe she was just being friendly. However, as the weeks went on, I started seeing a pattern. Her whole demeanor shifted when Daniel was present. The way she spoke, the way she acted, it was almost like she became a different person. It wasn't just me imagining things. Even in group settings, she seemed to direct everything toward him. I began to feel uneasy, but I kept telling myself it was nothing. Then, things started to escalate. It wasn't just about her behavior online anymore. Whenever the four of us hung out in person, she would be different, more exaggerated, more intense, and every time I felt more and more uncomfortable. At first, I thought I was just overanalyzing things. Maybe Camila was just naturally energetic. But the more I paid attention, the more obvious it became. She changed completely in Daniel's presence. When we played online, her voice would shift. She'd laugh excessively at anything Daniel said, even things that weren't remotely funny. She started using this exaggerated high-pitched tone, almost like she was trying to sound cute. And then there were the sounds, little gasps, soft moans, as if she was trying to make her presence known in the most suggestive way possible. It was weird. In person, it was even worse. If we all went out together, she would find excuses to lean forward, arch her back, or adjust her clothes in ways that felt entirely unnecessary. If she dropped something, she made sure to pick it up slowly, exaggerating every movement. If she was wearing a dress, she'd constantly pull at the hem, as if drawing attention to it. And what bothered me the most was that this behavior wasn't her default. When it was just the two of us, or when she was with my brother alone, she was normal, casual, relaxed, even a little reserved. But the second Daniel was in the room, she turned into someone else entirely. I started feeling uncomfortable whenever we hung out as a group. It wasn't just annoying, it felt disrespectful. I knew my brother loved her, but I also knew how their relationship started. Camila had cheated on her ex with him, and their whole relationship was built on betrayal. That fact kept nagging at me. Was I imagining things? Was I being too sensitive? Or was Camila deliberately trying to push boundaries with my boyfriend right in front of me? I tried to push my doubts aside, but the more I thought about it, the harder it became to ignore. It wasn't just her behavior now, it was the history behind it. Camila and Felipe had been together for about 2.5 years. From the outside, their relationship seemed stable, but I knew the truth. When they first got together, Felipe was still dating his ex. Camila wasn't just some random new girl. She was the reason that relationship ended. She pursued my brother while he was still in another relationship, and eventually, he gave in. I remember how chaotic it was when the truth came out. Felipe's ex was devastated, and my parents were furious at him for how it all happened. But Camila, she didn't seem to care. She acted like none of it was her problem. She got what she wanted, and that was all that mattered. That was what scared me the most. She had no problem crossing boundaries before. She had no problem being the other woman. So why should I believe she wouldn't do it again? And then there was Daniel. He was kind, easygoing, the type of guy who always wanted to see the best in people. That's one of the things I loved about him. But it also made him blind to certain things. If Camila was testing limits, if she was trying to see how far she could push things, would he even notice? That thought sent a sinking feeling into my stomach. Because if I was right, then I couldn't just ignore this anymore. But if I was wrong, Then maybe I was the one creating a problem where there wasn't one. I knew I couldn't keep ignoring this. The way Camilla acted around Daniel wasn't just irritating anymore. It was making me feel disrespected in my own relationship. So after another gaming session where she pulled the same stunts, laughing too hard, using that weird sultry tone, and making these unnecessary noises, I decided to bring it up to Daniel. We were lying in bed when I finally said it. "Hey, have you ever noticed how Camilla acts around you?" I tried to keep my voice casual, but my stomach was tight with nerves. Daniel looked up from his phone, raising an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" I hesitated for a second. I didn't want to come off as jealous or paranoid. "She changes, like the way she talks, the way she acts when you're around. It's weird. She's not like that with anyone else." Daniel sighed, putting his phone down. "Lucas, come on. That's just how she is. She's friendly." I felt my frustration bubbling up. "No, she's not just friendly. She doesn't act that way with Felipe. She doesn't act that way with me. It's only with you." Daniel sat up, rubbing his face. "Look, I think you're overthinking this. Camilla's been nothing but nice to me. I don't see any problem." I stared at him, trying to process his reaction. Was I really imagining this? Was I being unreasonable? "So, you don't think it's weird that she's constantly trying to get your attention? That she practically flirts with you in front of my brother?" Daniel groaned. "Lucas, she's not flirting. You're making something out of nothing." I felt my face heat up. I wasn't trying to pick a fight. I just wanted to be heard. "I just don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable." He exhaled sharply. "Then ignore it. I don't want drama over something that isn't even real." I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling frustrated and dismissed. Maybe I was overreacting, maybe I was reading too much into things. But if that was true, why did it still feel so wrong? I tried to let it go. I really did. But something kept gnawing at me, this feeling that I wasn't just imagining things. And then a few days later, something happened that made everything worse. It was late Sunday night, almost 2 a.m. I had gone to bed early, but for some reason, I woke up in the middle of the night. Out of habit, I grabbed my phone, scrolling absent-mindedly. Then, without thinking, I opened Discord. And that's when I saw it. Daniel was online. Not just online. He was in a voice call with Camilla. Just the two of them. My stomach dropped. They were still playing at this hour. Daniel never stayed up this late, not even for me. He had work early in the morning, and yet here he was, up in the middle of the night, gaming with my brother's girlfriend. I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Should I say something? Should I join the call? I felt a mix of emotions, confusion, anger, and this deep, unsettling feeling in my chest. Instead of acting impulsively, I just sat there, watching their icons light up as they talked. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the fact that it was happening at all was enough. After a few minutes, I closed Discord and put my phone down. My mind was racing. Was I crazy for thinking this was a big deal? Was I being possessive? But the thought that wouldn't leave my head was simple. If there was really nothing going on, why did this feel so wrong? I couldn't shake the feeling. The entire next day, my mind kept replaying the image of Daniel and Camilla alone in that call at 2 a.m. I tried to act normal, but the second we were alone, I knew I had to bring it up. "Daniel," I started carefully, "why were you playing with Camilla at 2 in the morning?" He barely looked up from his phone. "Because we were both online." I clenched my jaw. "You never stay up that late, not even with me." He sighed, finally meeting my gaze. "Lucas, it's not a big deal. We were just playing." "What's the problem?" I felt my frustration spike. "The problem is that it makes me uncomfortable. The way she acts around you already bothers me, and now you're spending time with her alone, in the middle of the night. Can you at least understand why that's weird for me?" Daniel's expression hardened. "No, I don't understand because nothing is happening." I swallowed. "I'm not saying something is happening. I'm saying I don't like it. I'm asking you to respect that." His face twisted in irritation. "So what? You want me to stop playing with her? Stop talking to her because you're insecure?" I flinched. I'm not insecure, Yes, you are. His voice was sharp now. I'm not in this relationship to have someone controlling who I can and can't talk to. Camilla has never given you a reason to think she's doing anything wrong. You're making this into something it's not. I felt my chest tighten. I'm just asking for a little consideration. He let out a harsh laugh. And I'm telling you, I'm done with this conversation. I'm tired of justifying myself over nothing. I stared at him, my heart sinking. I had come into this trying to have an honest conversation, but now it felt like I was the one in the wrong. I wanted to believe that maybe, after cooling down, Daniel would see where I was coming from. That even if he didn't agree, he'd at least acknowledge how I felt. But instead, things only got worse. That same night he logged into a game again. I wasn't even checking on him, but out of habit I opened my Steam, and that's when I noticed it. Daniel was offline, or at least, that's what it looked like. My stomach churned. He had set his status to invisible. I switched over to Discord, same thing. No sign of him, but something told me to check one last thing. I opened my brother's profile, and there it was. Felipe was online, and so was Camilla. I felt my face heat up. I knew exactly what this meant. He was playing with them, but he didn't want me to see. My heart pounded as I texted him, "Why is your status offline?" It took a while for him to respond. When he did, his message was short. Because that's how it's going to be from now on. That's it. No explanation, no apology. Just a simple statement, like I wasn't even worth an answer. I stared at my screen, my chest tightening. He wasn't just dismissing my feelings anymore. He was actively shutting me out. Instead of understanding why I was uncomfortable, he decided to make sure I couldn't see what he was doing. I felt like I was going crazy. Was I really in the wrong for feeling this way? Was I the problem? Or was this just his way of telling me that my feelings didn't matter to him at all? I spent the next few days trapped in my own head. Maybe Daniel was right. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was being insecure. But every time I tried to let it go, that sick feeling in my stomach came creeping back. If it was really nothing, why was he hiding things from me? I replayed our conversations over and over, trying to figure out where I had gone wrong. I hadn't accused him of anything. I hadn't yelled or tried to control him. I had only expressed how I felt, how uncomfortable Camilla's behavior made me, how strange it was that he was playing with her alone at 2 a.m. That wasn't unreasonable, was it? But instead of reassuring me, instead of listening, he shut me out. He made sure I wouldn't know when he was playing with her. He didn't try to ease my mind. He just made it impossible for me to check. And Camilla, she was still the same. Still acting like nothing was wrong. Still laughing too much at his jokes. Still finding ways to be right in his space. If she was testing boundaries, she had just gotten a free pass. I wanted to talk to someone about it, but I hesitated. If I told my brother, would he take her side? If I told my friends, would they think I was being dramatic? The worst part was, I wasn't even sure anymore if I had a right to be upset. Had I really made a problem out of nothing? Or was I ignoring something that was right in front of me? I needed perspective. I couldn't trust my own thoughts anymore. I felt like I was spiraling. So I decided to talk to my best friend, Marina. She had known me for years, and if anyone could help me see things clearly, it was her. When I told her everything, she listened carefully, nodding along as I laid it all out. The way Camilla acted around Daniel, the late-night gaming session, Daniel's reaction, and finally the fact that he was now hiding his online status from me. When I finished, I let out a shaky breath. Be honest. Am I overreacting? Marina tilted her head, thinking, I don't think you're crazy, Lucas. I mean, if something makes you uncomfortable, you have a right to talk about it. And the fact that he immediately got defensive instead of just reassuring you, that's weird. I exhaled, relieved that she didn't think I was imagining things, but then she sighed. At the same time, you haven't caught him doing anything, and Camilla might just be one of those girls who likes attention. I frowned. But doesn't that still mean something? If she's being inappropriate and he's letting it happen? She hesitated. Yeah, it's disrespectful. But you need to ask yourself what you really want here. Do you need him to admit that she's acting weird? Do you need him to stop talking to her? Because if he doesn't see a problem, you're going to be fighting a losing battle. That hit me harder than I expected. I wanted Daniel to understand. I wanted him to acknowledge how I felt. But if he refused to see the issue, what was I supposed to do? I left our conversation with more questions than answers. Was I expecting too much from Daniel? Or was I ignoring a deeper problem, one that had nothing to do with Camilla at all? After everything, I still don't know how to feel. I've gone over this situation again and again, trying to figure out if I'm the one in the wrong. Camilla's behavior makes me uncomfortable. There's no doubt about that. She changes completely around Daniel, acting in ways that feel inappropriate and disrespectful. And it's not just a random suspicion. I've seen it. I've felt it. But Daniel refuses to acknowledge it. He dismisses my concerns, tells me I'm overreacting, and now he's actively hiding when he plays with her. If nothing was going on, why would he feel the need to do that? At the same time, I haven't caught them doing anything objectively wrong. Maybe they really are just friends. Maybe I really am letting my insecurities cloud my judgment. But does that mean my feelings don't matter? Am I supposed to just ignore my own discomfort to keep the peace? I don't know what to do anymore. That's why I'm asking you. Am I the one making this a bigger issue than it is? Am I just being paranoid and insecure? Or is Daniel the one being disrespectful by ignoring my feelings and choosing to keep things hidden? Am I the asshole for calling out this situation? Or do I have every right to feel the way I do?